Hello and welcome to my follow-up video on the new Lexus Rx350. This is a 2024 fully loaded model. And a while back I put out a video on how much I absolutely hate this car. That video blew up. It's got over 60-something thousand views at this point. And it may not be Doug DeMuro levels, but you know, most videos that I do, and like most YouTubers, people don't tend to watch them, but some do get attention. Some don't, and I was surprised by the response to the last one. So in this video, I just wanted to give a follow-up, and I promised this time I will use less opinion and more facts. So I'll try to be more objective in this video. So if you haven't seen my other video, you should check it out. I basically tell you how much this new RX350 sucks because the build quality went down and they went from an amazing, trustworthy V6 to a squirrely new 4-cylinder turbo. So to be fair, most of the industry is going to that 4-cylinder turbo platform. But in this video, I'm going to give you a little more facts and be a little nicer to this thing. So overall, the ride quality of this thing is pretty decent. It's riding on 21-inch wheels, and the bigger the wheel, usually you'll lose cushioning, and so it's going to be a little bit of a rougher ride. You're also going to pay a lot of money for this size tire for sure. But generally speaking, this car, it's pretty good. If you're not comparing it to the old variant, I would say it's still an amazing buy. It's a Lexus, which of course is made by Toyota. And so it's going to be a very reliable vehicle, I'm sure. You'll find a lot of the piano black, plasticky material. But again, to be objective, a lot of people like that. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. Everything tends to be going that way. For a nice test, you hear that thud? You get a nice thud out of the door. That always makes you feel good because it kind of gives you that bank vault feeling. This stuff is really, really nice. It's super plush. It's very cushiony. And you have more lumbar support here because it sticks out. And what's interesting is if you have an upgraded version of the leather, then you'll find yourself with like the semi-aniline leather or whatever the hell it's called. This is actually kind of better. But one of the things you'll notice is when you sit in it, you're gonna feel some friction. So like when I'm sitting here, I can feel the friction, like it just rubs against and it catches this. But this type of material is super soft, super cushiony. The trade-off though is you feel like you're glued to the seat. It could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your preference. I have a GX and you don't feel that cushion, so it's a little less comfortable, but the trade-off is you don't feel like you're glued in. You got the big screen in the middle. I hate this, but that doesn't matter. I'm being objective here. Everyone has the big screen, so you know, who cares? It's a big high-def screen. Most people are gonna love that. One thing that's kind of weird, I don't like how the vents are at the bottom because you'll find that it's always having to blow up at you. It's not at face level, which is really weird to me. So on this side, you'll have face level ventilation. On this side, it's at the bottom. I don't get why they did that. This model does have a heads-up display. I'll show you that here in a bit. Heads-up display is super cool. This also has a 360 view camera, and how you toggle that is right here. You push that button to get a nice 360 view. I'll show you that in a bit. This car also features automatic parking. I demonstrate that later in the video. If you want to see it, then check out the description of this video and look at the chapters. I will put that in there for you. A cool thing too is you can set it to auto so that when you hit like 5 miles per hour or whatever, it'll come on automatically. I highly recommend that because it's super helpful. So just generally looking at this thing, you got, you know, this particular one has the black headliner. I love that. And it has the lighter seats. That's, you know, a matter of opinion. It looks good though. I've heard that these seats work really well, and as far as cleaning them, you can just have some soap and water to remove dirt. But your bigger concern is going to be staining. So if you have staining on a white leather seat or any kind of white seat, that's harder to deal with. The kind of staining you can get from like blue jeans and whatnot. This thing does have the electric shifter, which is kind of weird. But let's go ahead and start this thing up. So when you're in here, you got the doors closed. It's very quiet. It feels luxurious, like you have that nice sound dampening that you would expect from a luxury car like a Lexus. So we start it up. Wow, look at that. Big, beautiful screen in the middle. I have another screen for you that you might not expect. This one, this is the rear view camera. It's actually a screen. That takes some getting used to. Now, personally, my eyes kind of don't like trying to adjust to this thing. Like when I look up at it, it's a little blurry, but I'm an old person, so maybe that's because I'm old and my eyes are full of floaters and stuff. My personal preference with this is I don't like having screen here, screen here, screen here, screen here. I mean, it's just overload. And you know, Tesla started this trend where it's just screens everywhere. Like for example, to turn on the cooled seats, it's on the screen right here. So the cooled seats, which I have just turned on, are they're very, very nice, okay? So in some cars, I turn on the cooled seats, I can barely feel it. In this car, I can feel the cooled seats. That's definitely something that I love about this car, especially like right now, it's pretty hot outside where I live. And having those cooled seats on it's just freaking awesome. So the cooled seats, I guess you could call them cooled or ventilated. Either way, it's basically a fan in the seat that blows cold air all up into your various areas, like this area right here. And I have shorts on, it feels great. So in my other video where I talk about how much I hate this car, I do mention something that I really truly do hate. If you look at this big ugly thing right here, this is a sensor that stares at your eyeballs and it makes sure that you're always looking forward. The problem is if you look away even just a little bit to look at the radio, it beeps at you and it's incredibly annoying. The problem with it always beeping is that eventually you just learn to ignore it. Another huge problem is this thing really blocks the gauge cluster view. I imagine if this wasn't here, you'd be able to see a lot more of the gauge cluster. And another huge flaw with this is that if you use these things called sunglasses, it will constantly hound you because it can't see your retinas and so it freaks out. Now, some good things about this though is that you can disable it. So if you come into the screen here and you go into the driving assist menu, you can do all kinds of cool customization of the safety and the other features like the radar cruise control, which by the way is amazing in this car. These are the options for radar cruise control. You can set the sensitivity, the steering assist, deceleration, all kinds of cool stuff here. And if you go into the notification section, you can turn off various notifications like excessive speed and other safety stuff. Now, collision mitigation is where you're going to find a lot of important things. I wouldn't recommend turning this off, especially if you're kind of a, dangerous driver. But in general, the good thing is that you can come down here and you can turn off, or you can actually adjust the sensitivity for safe exit assist and blind spot monitor and stuff like that. So for me, what I would do if I owned this car, I'm actually just borrowing it right now, but I would definitely come in here and I would turn off the driver monitor because it's annoying as hell. This is the driving monitor right here. Lots of options in here to customize it, but one of my biggest complaints is when you buy this beautiful car and then you just start turning stuff off because a lot of the technology is just incredibly annoying. That's my personal opinion. So, whatever. Some people like the technology, some people don't. But the good news is Lexus they give you a lot of good options in here, ways to customize and turn this stuff off, which I imagine a lot of people actually do. And I do want to tell you, the safe assist or the safe exit assist, what I have done is looked into the reason why these doors are electronic now. I know it's like this Tesla trend, everyone's going the Tesla route where you have these buttons on the door. But from what I understand is that if you go to exit the vehicle and it detects that a car's coming, it won't let you open the door, and that's a really cool feature. Now, one thing that I also do want to mention though, if you have kids, the size of this car is really small. So for example, having a car seat just in one part of this car, it makes it feel incredibly crowded, and having a car seat that's forward facing will cause you to have to move this seat way up to the point where you can't really sit in the front passenger seat when you have a car seat behind it, and that really sucks. But of course, it may not matter to a lot of people who, especially if you don't have kids, it's just something to think about. And if you're a glove box nerd like me, here's your glove box. You can lock it. It's quite sturdy. It feels really solid, and it has this nice velvet fabric. I do not see a glove box light in here, which kind of surprises me. It's possible I just can't see it because it's during the day. But yeah, listen to that. It's a great glove box. This car does have illumination on this part of the dashboard. I will put a clip of what that looks like at nighttime. And you can also customize it if you're into stuff like that. You can come into the settings here and you can do an awful lot of stuff. And one of the things that you can do here is vehicle customization, here illumination, and then you can do a theme. You have different themes for the kind of illumination, and then you can actually control the brightness by zones. Now, again, though, I don't know if this has illumination in the back, but if you did have it in the back, you can actually change the brightness for each zone, which is super cool. And for the vanity mirror, it's just your standard vanity. You slide it open, you have a light at the top, nothing too special here. You have a nice snap to the visor. If you pull the visor out, you can expand it by sliding it. That's always a really cool feature. Definitely good to have. You do not have the center thing, but you don't need it because you have the camera up here that looks at the windshield. I think that's for some of the safety controls and the automatic wipers. One thing that Lexus is good at is hiding the nozzles for your windshield wiper fluid. So these are actually the spray nozzles right here directly on the wiper blade. The cool thing with that is you don't get a bunch of overspray when you spray your windshield. And you also don't have to actually see the nozzles like you do here on my Tacoma, like some kind of subhuman. Lexus has always been really good with hiding the nozzles. So on this ES350, this is a 2019 model, and the nozzles are hidden under the lip of the hood, which is really cool because it gives you this nice clean look. The result of that design is when you do spray your windshield, it's like this magic party trick. It looks like the fluid is just coming out of the blades. It's really cool. And then whenever the blades are done, they go down and they tuck away so that you can't even see them. They go up, they come down and tuck away. There you go. They just disappear. That's a really cool attention to detail. Here's an example of the heads-up display on the new RX350. And one of my favorite features is that when you put your finger on the steering wheel buttons, it shows you where your finger is. So you can see that circle moving around. Right here, volume up, volume down. This is such a good idea. And then it'll show you, for example, right there, it gives you the actual name of the station that you're on and everything. It's a super good idea because what it means is that when you're doing stuff here, you don't even have to look at what you're actually touching. You can just keep your eyes on the road and everything you need to see is right here in front of you. The seats are awesome for cooling, and I'm sure the heating is also awesome. And this particular model is activated with SiriusXM. SiriusXM is great. The mobile app is great. That's a whole nother story, I guess. But yeah, SiriusXM is pretty cool. It's a cool feature to have. Here's the console. Super spacious. There are no charging ports or anything in here. That's a little bit of a letdown. So if you want to charge your phone, what you would do is you would go up here because we have another spacious compartment. Super spacious. You can charge your phone right here. You just put your phone down and it's going to automatically charge it for you. You can close this. Another cool thing is you've got this little wood grain effect on the plastic, and that's pretty cool. So let's take a look at the center console. You have two USB charging ports here that light up at night. You open this compartment, you have more storage, like I mentioned earlier. Here you have another USB charge port, you have a USB port, and you even have an old school 12-volt cigarette lighter type port here. You have your nice, amazing cup holders. These are super, super nice, by the way. I'm not being sarcastic. You have your wacky little electronic shift. You have your disabled traction control button here. You have the disabled auto start button here, which I imagine a lot of people love because this feature really is just so annoying. But anyways, this is interesting to me. This is a brake hold button. So when you push this button, apparently it holds your brakes into place. So like if I were to put it in gear, like now I'm in gear. The car just sits here because I have that brake hold button on. I'm not sure why that's a thing, but that's cool. And then you have your emergency electronic parking brake here. Now, I always thought it was weird to have an electronic parking brake. I'm not sure what the purpose of this is. I always thought that an emergency brake was meant to be like a last resort brake, but I guess they're very confident in this thing always working because it's all electronic now. You pull this up, and then you have now applied the brake for parking. Another cool feature is that this console opens this way for the passenger, and it is also opening this way for the driver, and that's another really cool feature. It does not slide back and forth like some vehicles. But overall, the interior of this car is really, really good. It's kind of what you would expect for a premium trim model. Again, this is the Premium Plus, and so you're not going to find all this fancy crap on a base model, but for the Premium Plus, it is extremely nice. And the radio, I do not think it's a Mark Levinson system because I don't see any logos or anything for that, but the radio sounds amazing in this car. Overall, though, I mean, this thing is just par for the course as far as a newer car in this price range. The digital shifter is weird. So if you want to go in reverse, you go to the side and go up like that. Now I'm in reverse. And now you can see the beautiful HD cameras. You got the reverse camera right here and the 360 view right here. Okay, now if you want to go into park, you push the park button and you're done. That's it. You are now electronically parked. So let's take a look at the 360 view camera. One thing that I love about this camera is, check this out. So when the vehicle starts to move, it goes translucent. And you can see what's underneath the vehicle. You see that? You can see underneath it. That's really super cool. That's a great idea. It goes translucent. You can see under the car, and I really love that. And let me hit the view again. So it looks like you don't have any view options when you're in reverse. Let's go in drive. So here in drive, it's going to show the front right here, the front camera. And you didn't see that, but let me demonstrate it again. The mirrors go down when you're in reverse, which is super cool because that gives you visibility of, for example, parking lines on the cameras. This thing stays as a screen. All right, let me go ahead and park it and see if we have any view options. So if you park it and you hit the view button, you'll get this really cool little spinny view. It's like having a little drone. It's like you're playing Grand Theft Auto or something and you're just cruising around. But don't forget you're not, okay? So don't do something stupid. All right, so yeah, that's a cool view. This is not a new thing, by the way. This view that you're seeing is actually on my wife's 2019 ES350. So it's been around for a little while, but it's only available when you're parked. It's super cool though. All right, now let's look at this thing. What's funny is when you're driving and you're using this, it looks like everyone's on your ass. It's hilarious. Because the camera is seeing people right at the back of the car. And so it looks like everyone's tailgating you. And so that's the screen version. And what you can do though is you can flip it down and now it's turned into a mirror. Look at that. You're just gonna see my phone, but so there's the screen version. And if you don't want the screen, you can flip it down and now it has turned into an analog mirror. This thing does have the built-in home link system, so you can open up to 3 devices using 3 different buttons. That's a must. That is a must. It's so convenient. And I think, for example, I don't even know if like the Tesla Cybertruck, you pay $100K for that, and I don't even think you get home link. I love Lexus because they give you home link. Super important, super cool. You have a nice moonroof. It's not panoramic. It's just your old school kind of moonroof that you would expect. It opens, it closes, it vents. What more do you want? You have these touch sensitive lights. It's not a button, it just kind of senses your touch. You see that? Pretty cool. All right, let's get into the back of this thing and see how that feels. All right, so now we're in the back of the RX and it is extremely comfortable. The back seats are super, super soft and cushiony. You have your own personal air vents. This is a must, especially in places like Texas. You also have your own third climate control here. It's a third zone, so you can just simply adjust that as you want, like that. You have 2 USB-C charging ports. This is also extremely important, especially if you have a child and you're going to have them back here being entertained. Now, you don't have rooftop AC, and that's something you get with the GX or the LX. It's super cool. It's like being in an airplane and you have AC blowing right in your face. In fact, on the LX, with the price you pay, you have it up here and you have it down there, which is super awesome. And you also have this button on all 4 doors. That button releases the door. It's electronic. Now for me, I'm kind of paranoid by nature, so that's just another thing that can break easily. But you can also pull it in like this. And I think that's interesting. Well, whatever. That's supposed to be like an emergency release, but what's funny is, look at this. Oh, there it goes, okay. So I think you can pull this in for like an emergency release. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You got your standard controls. You can do locking and unlocking of the car, put the window down. This is automatic, so you have this nice touch control where you push it and it goes up on its own. That is really cool. What else do we have back here? Let's look at the cup holder. So you have this center console that comes down, and you have this cup holder, which is the same design you'll find in even the LX. This is extremely important. This is a real cup holder, okay? You can put stuff in here that's heavy and it'll hold it. It's not one of those weird flimsy German ones or whatever. You also have this storage in here. You can never have too much storage, okay? This is great. So storage, the cup holder seems very sturdy for what it is. No complaints there. You have this headrest in the middle for whoever's going to be sitting in the middle, probably a child or your worst enemy. This model does have the automatic folding mirrors. So right now it's in auto mode. If you lock the car, it will fold the mirrors. If you push the other button right here, you can manually fold them like that, which is always a really cool feature to have. All right, so let's go ahead and pop the rear hatch. We can do that here. We have gas here. I'll show you that, and then we'll do the rear hatch as well. So here's your large fuel door here. This is very, very sturdy. Well, I don't know. As soon as I said that, I realized it's not that sturdy. It's plastic, okay? This is just plastic. Some of the other vehicles, maybe the older RX, this is actually metal. Again, though, whatever. It does its job. I guess this is the gas cap holder right here. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know what this is right here. Maybe that holds the gas cap. Oh, it does. Okay, there you go. Look at that. I figured that out all by myself. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's where you put the gas in. It takes premium unleaded fuel only. Premium only. Okay, so this fuel door seems very flimsy. It actually seems super flimsy. I don't know why I said it didn't at first. Look at that. But it's flush with the body. It looks good, so who cares? Okay, let's take a look at the back. You have that thing right there. Okay, we have more storage. This is cool. So this is a unibody crossover, which gives you storage on the bottom. It's not like a body on frame vehicle. So for example, this Tacoma right here is body on frame. So you can't put anything below here because this is actual frame. But the cool thing with the unibody is that you do have space that you can put down here below the floor of the cargo area. You have this really cool first aid kit. It's embossed. It's very impressive for just being a little kit. I'm not going to bother opening this up. I mean, I guess I could. There you go. That's what the inside looks like. Just a bunch of medical stuff that hopefully you'll never need. Storage, cool. You have your jack right here. It's separate, very easy to get to. That's definitely a plus. The spare right here, very easy to get to. I'm not gonna take it out, but it looks like it's probably, I don't know if it's a full-size spare. I don't really know, but it's pretty big. It says temporary use only, so I guess it's not a full-size spare. What is this? Oh, that's interesting. This is a Lexus hitch cover. Okay. Oh, there we go. Has a hitch. Okay, so this model has a tow package. I don't know what you can tow with an RX350, but you have a hitch package on this one, and you have the hookup for your hitch system. What else do you have in here? You have some tools for removing the tires and whatnot. You have a sub back here. The audio system in this car is really, really good. I don't know if it's a Mark Levinson, but it sounds great. You have a nice cargo hiding apparatus right here, so you can slide this back and click it into place so people can't see what you have in your car. That's always a good idea. And this is removable. And also I want to note, these are expensive as hell. I mean, that thing could cost you like 300 bucks. It's crazy. You have the power folding rear. So let's do that. There goes lefty. And there goes righty in the middle. All right, cool. So that gives you a lot of space. I'm not gonna take this out because I'm lazy, but you get the idea. You can put a lot of stuff in here. That's one of the coolest things about a hatchback. I used to be a drummer and I had a GTI hatchback, and I could put my whole drum kit in the back, safe and secure. So for storage, this thing is great. The RX is wonderful for storage. And when you close the rear hatch, you have two different buttons. One closes it, one will close it and then lock the car. All right, let it close. Let's go ahead and take a look at the engine while we're at it. That's analog. I'm surprised they don't have a button for that, like some kind of electronic release. All right, there you go, nice and easy. That's always good. It was very easy to open. I just push this lever right here, like that, opens it right up. So there's the new turbocharged four-banger. Again, I don't really like the engine. I'm a fan of the V6, but since this is my objective version, I'm gonna tell you that there's nothing wrong with the engine. It's a 4-cylinder turbo and it's made by Toyota. It's gonna last you forever. What more is there to say? It's a Toyota 4-cylinder. Now, the older 4-cylinders are known to burn oil, if you look at like the old naturally aspirated Camrys and Corollas, but I'm gonna just assume they have fixed that stuff because it's the year 2025 and this is a 2024. Hopefully they figure that out. You got a lot of space to work in here. You don't have a lot of covers, and I like that because if you're working on your car, I really hate when you have to remove all these covers. Like I have a GX, and that's one thing that sucks about that is it's covered up. I think part of the reason they do that is for sound dampening, not just to make it look pretty. But everything's accessible. The battery's right here, and it's a huge battery. It's a really huge battery. I mean, look at that thing. Now, the way you release this is if you look down there, you're gonna see a screw. You have to take that screw off. It's a bracket that holds this into place. That's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's okay, it works. But yeah, I'd really, it's a big area to work with. Hopefully you will never have to work on this, but if you need to, you can probably do everything that you need and you won't have to deal with a bunch of covers. It uses 0W20, that's pretty much standard. Most modern Lexuses are gonna use a 0.8 oil for whatever reason. Let's see here. Yeah. Looks like you can adjust the headlights and stuff through here. Radiator fluid, do not touch that. I'm not gonna touch that because it's probably hot. Relay fuses right here. The oil goes in here and you check the oil right here in the front. That's cool, right? It's in the front, it's convenient. And so that's cool. Let's start up the engine and see what it sounds like. All right. So there she is. She has that little rattly, squirrely sound like most 4-cylinders, but generally speaking, it sounds fine. Compare this to like a V6 and you'll get the idea, but there's a lot of vibration. Like if you actually touch the engine, you can feel the vibration. One thing to understand with that, ooh, what is that? Maybe that's, I don't know what that was. Sounds like maybe the AC compressor kicking in. So anyways, there's a lot of vibration on these 4-cylinders. You may have some engine mount issues, at extreme high mileages like 200K or something crazy. But generally speaking, The smaller the engine, the more vibration. If you have a V6 or a V8, it's going to have more cylinders and it's going to spread that power more evenly. And that's why V6s and V8s are always going to be much more smoother. Unfortunately, the V8s are dinosaurs now. I don't know if they'll ever make them again. Maybe with the new Trump era EPA stuff, maybe they'll bring them back, but I doubt it. So the newer Lexus V6s are twin turbo. This is this is a turbo 4-cylinder. All right, let's take it for a ride. So let's take this thing for a test drive. You sit down in this thing and the first thing you notice is that it sounds really nice and quiet in here. The seats are super comfortable. We've got the cooled seats on, so with shorts, it's a wonderful experience, very refreshing. So let's go ahead and put this thing in reverse with this wacky shifter we have here. We are now in reverse. We get our backup camera with 360 view. And like I mentioned earlier, the car turns transparent. See that? The car turned transparent. Now I can see under the car, which is super awesome. And if you look closely at the top, I can see, you see the front tires. So it gives you a steering angle that'll let you know where your tires are. That's super cool. It's funny, you can actually see the wheels pop out a little, but you can see right here the actual steering angle. And if you click on it further, you can get a close-up view of the 360. All right, so again, put it into drive and you can see through the car. Look at that. That is super cool. I'll have to hand it to Lexus on this thing. I like that. So in my other video, I did mention one thing I hate is look at this right here. You see that? You can see the stop sign. It sensed the stop sign. Now, I don't need the stop sign here, but if you do need it, like if you're impaired as far as your vision goes or your mental acuity, that is great. You know, it's a cool feature. It's new. So, yeah, and then now you've got this nice camera view for the rear view. But like I said earlier, the weird thing you got to get used to is everything seems extremely close. But generally speaking, you know, like I was saying earlier, I'm trying to be more objective with this review. My last one, I know I got some flack for doing too much comparison between the old RX and the newer one. But generally speaking, I mean, the RX350 is a nice crossover. If you're not going to be towing stuff or going off-road or doing anything crazy like that, then it's perfect for you, you know, if it fits within your price range and everything. This is not the all-wheel drive model. This is a front-wheel drive only, and so you will not want to take this on the beach and get stuck in the sand or anything crazy like that. But, you know, it's a good crossover, that's for sure. It's a Lexus. You can't... And also, it just beeped at me because I had this car over here. So it has safety features where I guess, I don't want to test this, but if you get too close to a car, it's probably going to slam on the brakes because it thinks you're about to get in a wreck. That's a pretty standard collision avoidance system that you're going to get with most modern vehicles, especially at this price point. And so that's something that you kind of expect to have. Now, again, you know, having the street lights in the gauge cluster, to me, that's a little bit of that's a pointless thing to me. But having collision avoidance is not pointless. It's pretty important. I think collision avoidance is a good feature. So, yeah. So like I mentioned earlier with this rear view camera system, it looks like everyone's riding on your ass. This guy's probably not as close as he looks. Is he? I don't know. But you'll always feel like you have someone right on your ass whenever you have this camera for some reason, and it's kind of weird, but you get used to it, I'm sure. I have this 4Runner here. I have this beautiful Toyota Tacoma here. It's like a freaking Toyota ad. Check that out. So that takes some getting used to. I don't think the screen thing is a bad idea. I don't personally like screens because I'm old and my eyes just don't like all the blue light all the time. But it's a cool idea, you know, it gives you a lot more visibility, that's for sure. But now I'm driving, and when you look at that rear view, it looks like the person is always on me. They're just tailing me the whole time. So that takes some getting used to. It always looks like they're super close and they're gonna hit you or something. Another thing I wanna point out, the gas mileage of this vehicle is extremely good. it tells me I'm getting about 22 miles a gallon. I think it does better than that. The estimation is never accurate. But yeah, you also got a pretty good amount of acceleration with that turbo. I mean, I can really get on it, and I can really haul ass in this thing if I want to, but I don't do that because I'm not a weirdo. But yeah, overall, this car is very sporty, and it's very fun to drive. If you are looking for a crossover, then check out the new RX350. If you want a more luxurious feel, then you're not going to want a new one. You're going to want a V6 variant, which I believe was made up until like 2022 or 23 or something. For the rear climate zone, you can switch on the screen, and I can now control the rear zone from the front of the car. That is a cool feature, and that's really a must-have, because if you have a baby in the back or something, you're going to want to be able to control the climate in the rear. But yeah, so, you know, it is what it is. This is my objective opinion, and it's not a bad car. All the people who hated me on my last video, you know, they disagree with my opinion. It is what it is. I get it. Let's get back and look underneath this thing. Here's the must-have front camera. This is really awesome right here. A nice wide view of everything going on in front of the car. These days, I think you really should always have something like that, because the technology has come so far, and it's super, super cool to have. And you can switch it to this weird view right here. It's like a wide angle lens or something. But yeah, the surveillance in this thing, as far as looking around your vehicle, is really top notch. Get off my ass! The one thing that's kind of creepy with this screen is, look at this guy. You can totally just spy on people in their car. It's kind of creepy, right? All right, so here's a quick demo of parking assist. I hit the parking assist button like this, and it tells me where I can park. And it tells me I can hit this button right here. I release the brake, and now it's gonna park for me. You see what it's doing? It's moving the wheel. I'm not doing anything. So it put on the blinker. That's kind of cool. And it's just automatically parking the car for me. See here? Now that is awesome. Look at that. I am not touching the accelerator or anything, and it looks like it's doing a good job. So there you go. Okay, it's getting really close. It makes me a little nervous. Okay, done. Cool. I have my advanced parked finish notification, a nice little spinny celebration on the screen, and I am now parked just like that. That, my friend, is freaking cool. All right, now here's a demo of the heads-up display. I hope you can see that on camera. If you go too fast, if you go over the speed limit, it'll actually warn you and turn a little red to warn you. Heads-up display in this thing is really cool. I think that's a very important feature. Whether or not you'll use it's up to you. If you have polarized sunglasses, it makes it a lot harder to see it, but it's still a cool feature. All right, so let's take a look underneath the new RX. Now, just like with most crossovers, when you look underneath it, you probably won't be too impressed. This is super thin looking, and the cross arms here, or whatever the hell these are called, is it leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's a front-wheel drive vehicle. And so this is totally normal. The back end looks a little, I don't know, I guess a little underbuilt from what you would expect. But if you had an all-wheel drive model, then you would actually have a rear differential back here with your drive shafts and all that stuff, and you would have CV joints here, which you don't have on this model. Now, underneath it, interestingly, you see that skid plate. There's a huge cover underneath. I wouldn't call it a skid plate. I need to correct myself, because it looks like it's made out of plastic or something, and so that's not for rock climbing. You know what I mean? Like with an RX, you'd have, or with something built for off-road, you'd have better protection underneath, but that's still pretty cool. It's just a big cover that they put under there. A lot of times it's not really for protection, it's to control the airflow and for better efficiency and stuff, but let's take a look at the front. All right, so here's the front of the RX. You'll see your big fat CV joint here, and there's really nothing to talk about because it's all sealed up. There's just nothing here. It's all covered up. So here's the very front of the car. They did a really good job to cover up everything. It would probably be a nightmare to take this stuff off, but Hopefully you can do the oil change without removing the covers. And in all honesty, most people are probably not going to be doing that on their own. But generally speaking, I mean, it looks pretty good underneath. I don't know what I expected to see, but it looks good. You know, it's your typical crossover. It just has this huge cover. What's interesting too is if you look at this cover's made out of like a flexible fabric, and it's kind of fuzzy, which is weird. I don't know how that holds up over time and with water and stuff, but it just kind of is what it is. Lexus finally fixed their remote start. It used to be that after you remote start it, you open the door to the car and it would turn off, but let me demonstrate how it works on this 2024 model. So the car is now running via remote start, and when you open the door, look at that. It actually stays running. You get in, it'll tell you to push the brake down, and then you push the start button, and now you can drive away. So that's how it should be. I don't know why for so many years Lexus had this safety kill switch where if you remote start the car and then open the door to get in, it would shut the car off. But the good news is that for the 2024 model, you are now fixed and you have a great remote start system. All right, and that concludes my objective opinion on the brand new RX350 platform. If you're looking for a crossover, this is a great one to buy. If you want a more luxurious feel, go for the older V6 version. But generally speaking, it's still a great car. I hope this helps you out because my favorite videos are the ones that make money. I'm just kidding. My favorite videos are really just the ones that help other people. If you're looking for an RX, why don't you find a good certified pre-owned V6 version, test drive that one, then test drive the new one. You know, choose one for yourself because when you buy a car, you should love it. When you test drive it, you'll know. And if you don't love it, don't buy the car. That's my opinion, at least. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. It's like a freaking orchestra of sensors. What is that? All right, there it goes. It says stop.